Welcome back, everyone, to the LCS Proving Grounds game number 2, FlyQuest Academy versus ZOOS Gaming. And upsets is all I can really say. It seems like that's what's coming our way because ZOOS Gaming able to take game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, ZOOS Gaming coming in obviously is the lower seed. They're a talented team, but FlyQuest, man, they were one of the top half, or they were literally the #1 team out of the regular split, and then they were a top 4 team inside of playoffs. And they came out here, and it just seemed like sometimes they weren't able to figure out, an attack plan up against the side of ZOOS, even into this moment, where it's like, okay, they start off with first blood, which is fantastic. That's a great way to begin your game. But giving up 2 kills in exchange for it really not beneficial, especially when Alarm gets to come in, gets to bully off his opponent with this kill to start with, sets him into a fantastic place in the laning phase.
Yeah, and the person you're seeing on your screen right now was the stud of this matchup. Alorum looks so good, and his ability to 1v1, especially someone like Philip, who is a very competent top laner, read exactly where he's going. That flash is not easy to pull off, and he pulls it off.
No.
He makes it look simple. And, I mean, come on, man. You want to see someone carry without buying a single offensive item? Look no further than Alorum. You got to take a repeat at that death sentence Dream did, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good. But again, the plays that were like aggressive from the side of FlyQuest were actually very far and few between. This was a really intriguing play in the grand scheme of things for the side of FlyQuest, because again, they traded that bottom inhibitor for the Baron buff, but again, it gave up their possibility of eventually trading for the Dragon, which I think was one really big concept. And again, some of these moments for the side of FlyQuest were very nice. They looked good, and they were able to kind of turn things that looked like they were going against them. But ZOOS had control of what was effectively the entire pacing of the game, being able to control, like, okay, we're not going to fight around this dragon, we're going to take this one, we give up the first 3, still able to find it, and it eventually led to a very significant win in their favor off the back of just this 3rd dragon, where FlyQuest just overstayed. They had one more to work with, they could have waited one more time, but this is the one they decided to fight on, and unfortunately it does not work out for them. Philip got split off from his team really quickly, and then you look, 3 people, ducks in a row right here for Alarm to be able to just kind of run down with that ultimate.
And we were talking when the draft was going off about ZOOS opting into taking the Braum instead of the Thresh. And I guess we're seeing a little bit as to why. The ability to be able to hard engage like that, to stifle anything that FlyQuest would attempt in a lot of these exchanges. It was hard for FlyQuest to find their foot in. It was hard for them to get a team fight on their terms. You really needed NXI to be there to be able to dictate the engagement before everything else. And even then, you said it at the draft itself. This engage is hard to pull off on FlyQuest's side.
I will say it felt very heavily like a lot of this game. The mid jungle is always going to be a prevalent one for the side of ZOOS. I know even FlyQuest had said that directly. Triple wasn't a massive part of this game. Outside of that one play on bottom side, was relatively invisible, kind of just catching waves to the rise, which was unfortunate. And then NXI didn't have a massive impact either. That mid jungle position needs to, I think in this second game, have more of an impact, compete more with that mid jungle combination. Tuesday wasn't like huge inside of the game, but he was able to put out damage, able to put up walls, do things that an Azir needed to do. And across the board, again, it is the early game engine that Wiggly is for the side of FlyQuest, where they can find aggression in a number of places off the back of his Viego, off the back of whatever champion he's playing. And so to me, I think NXI's got to be able to match that pressure, and Triple's got to get more involved because he is an incredible player. We hyped him up quite a bit after that play, and yet he fell silent as the game continued.
And it should be interesting to see the way that the draft is going to shape up for the next one, because it was ZOOS on blue side. They went straight for that Varus. And keep in mind, Raheen, I called it his bread and butter champion. He was kind of marksman support in that last game. I felt like FlyQuest got everything they really could have asked for in that last draft.
It was a good-looking composition. Again, the one problem I had with it was that range of engage, because when you're relying exclusively on Trundle to do that kind of thing, or like a Thresh hook, or even more importantly, like a Moonlight Vigil Gravitum from the likes of Aphelios, you have that danger of, like, they can re-engage from you from further out. You have a much further range from which you can threaten potentially catching multiple members on the side of FlyQuest, and that was part of it. That was part of what I think stifled the ability to 5-on-5 so consistently for the side of FlyQuest, because it's like, they're down 2,000 gold, that's not insane. Their Aphelios is rather fed. They could win a team fight, but they can't engage properly in the river if the other team isn't there. And if the other team, if ZOOS was fighting into the river with an Ornn ultimate on top of them as they're pinched into a dragon pit, you're almost certainly going to lose that fight just immediately. So FlyQuest kind of scrambled to try to find some semblance of a fight, just could never get one.
I mean, the only lane we saw really get punished on the side of ZOOS, or at least early on, was Tuesday's lane. They did have a lot of focus over there. You ultimately went 2-2-6, but that's not a bad scoreline at the end of the day. That's not really getting exactly what you need to be able to find success in this matchup, especially considering that Tuesday is going to be the player that will provide the sustained DPS and the disengage if you are able to get deep into that back line. Never mind having to deal with the Lorem.
Yeah, everything about that composition from the side of ZOOS screamed team fighting. I loved the ability of them to be able to kind of like leverage that not into team fighting wins necessarily, especially off bad timers, but more specifically, they leveraged it into a bunch of map pressure, constantly pushing around. Dragon Pit, that Baron Pit was a threat. It's like, okay, they could TP in with Philip. They could take that 5-on-5, but they were so adverse on the side of FlyQuest to doing so that they just were unwilling. They went for that inhibitor trade with Triple instead. They made that call. And again, that call, I think, had a massive impact across the game, being able to take second dragon instead of for third dragon that ended up opening up. I don't expect a mistake like that or a play like that that had such a profound impact to be repetitive over the course of 2 games. But it's something to at least keep track of is FlyQuest, if they set themselves up for a similar draft, and as does ZOOS, are they still that adverse? They have to find some confidence in being able to take a 5-on-5, and if that's the case, one champion difference is all that it's going to take for somebody to be able to change and then start to look confident and take those 5-on-5 team fights around those objectives.
Yeah, I do want to go back to that because I want to know more about the decision making of FlyQuest and what's really going through their heads, because some of those decisions were a little bit of a head scratcher. Like, I can understand what we saw with the Baron trade, going for that bot lane inhibitor and trading it for the Baron.
Yeah.
The only thing that just didn't make sense to me was forfeiting so much right after it. It felt like they were racing to figure out what the next step, what the next move from ZOOS was going to be, and ZOOS made it plain clear as day.
They did. They just shoved right up bot lane and were able to snag the inhibitor. Yeah. Even if they don't snag the inhibitor, the free dragon on bot side and a shoving wave mid and bot lane at any given point to play around would have been more than enough. Like, it almost had to be that FlyQuest had to know that was going to be the case to try to compete. I know they're trying to pull more resources off the board, maybe for Rise or for somebody else on top side, but like you said, that whole little junction kind of threw the whole game into disarray for FlyQuest. Felt like at that point they were defeated before a fight had even taken place. So it's not a play that happens very often, and especially for FlyQuest, who has experience on like the competitive stage at the LCS level, even I definitely don't expect that that result to replicate itself in game number 2 as well.
And as we start preparing for this game number 2, I gotta say, it feels good to be able to see Tuesday on a team, because Proving Grounds, as we saw in the last split, we didn't get to see him. We had that whole controversy that went on with his old org, and unfortunately that whole roster had to be dropped. Tuesday now on, able to show what he's made of, and it's a great showing in this first game versus FlyQuest.
I have a soft spot for some of those guys because, again, Tuesday has come from Academy from a very long way back. Griffin also came from, like, back when it was Challenger Series, when I was watching Challenger Series as, like, a youngster and a new, like, kind of member to, like, the League of Legends community. Seeing his Lee Sin in some of those Challenger Series games made me just a permanent fan forever. And so seeing these guys here competing at Proving Grounds, kind of doing very good things into very solid players, is not shocking for me. And getting to support them, like you said, Tuesday, unfortunately not able to make the previous one, especially alongside Griffin, who he's been able to play with previously. Both of them have connections to Lorem as well. It's nice to see that they're able to put these pieces together and put such solid performances on the board.
And how long until we rename this team into CLG Black 2? Because I know you remember those old days of when you had your your Challenger team. It wasn't called Academy. Fun fact: Team Liquid Academy was called Academy before the Academy scene actually came in, so they didn't have to change their sister team name. But CLG Black back in the day, the reason I bring that up is because Tuesday used to be a part of that roster of CLG Black during the Challenger Series. Griffin being part of CLG a different time during that. So I don't know, just CLG, you want your amateur roster? Here it is, CLG Amateur. The draft is ready, however. So ZOOS Gaming versus FlyQuest Academy, game number 2, ready to go underway.
And this is the first time we're also seeing a side swap today, which is nice.
About time, man.
So blue side has been very good for teams most of the year. Like in the previous weeks, and especially like early on 11-17, 11-16, 11-15, blue side was dominating in terms of like its win rate comparative to anything else. To the point where, like, I remember on the finals cast for Academy, like we were talking about like the percentage was obscene. It was like 75% win rate for blue side or something like that. Today, however, it has 2 losses from C9 amateur, and then ZOOS just took another one, so it's at 50% win rate right now. For anybody who likes statistics, we have an exact coin flip of who's going to win this game based on our previous results.
Hey, we made it. Only other way it could be, right? We found true balance. We are here. So the bans go out. Twisted Fate going to be taken off the Rift along with LeBlanc. ZOOS Gaming really focusing on the mid lane. Going to focus on to triple. Viego taken off the map. Not going to allow Griffin to play that again, as well as Varus from Raheen and Ashe. So going after 2 in the wheelhouse of Raheen.
I'm thinking what's happening here is that FlyQuest Academy want to play through bot lane, and so they go, okay, what are the champions we need to remove? We need to remove Varus, we need to remove Ashe. Those are the 2 champions that just need to be taken away from Raheen. Now he has no safety, he has no utility to his team. Now they can play into that bottom side and be aggressive into Raheen Rhino, which is, again, for ZOOS, sometimes considered the weakest part of their map, which is fair, because, again, the other 3, like you talk about Alorum, Griffin, and Tuesday, they're all very, very solid players and have shown their capability of listing through a bunch of places. Raheen and Rhino are capable of team fighting very well, doing a bunch of things, but oftentimes they're kind of the weaker side of the map more than anything, and so that's FlyQuest saying we're going to lean into that immediately.
So here's a pretty exciting pick to get locked in on the side of FlyQuest Academy. NXI is going to be able to play Lee Sin, and this plays a lot to the way he likes, which is that aggressive style, which is having that early impact on the map. But the response is going to be leaving open the Xin Zhao, which plays perfectly into Griffin's wheelhouse. We really got like kind of a meta-aggressive showdown going on in the jungle rules.
We like that. These are 2 champions that they like to get aggressive very early in the game. They will duel in the jungle as well from time to time. You'll see them in the river. So support from their lanes, especially mid lane, is a big one. We know how talented Tuesday and Triple both can be. And so their ability to get out of mid lane and start an impact into this jungle versus jungle matchup is something FlyQuest kind of fell short of in the previous. I don't expect that to be repeated. Okay, that's cool. And notice also Raheen, he's taken off of 2 of his more comfortable champions. They put him onto something very scaling oriented, also removing that from Johnson. Johnson's a very good Aphelios player, and of course they're going to go for Ziggs now because they just want to ruin this Aphelios' life.
Yeah, especially after choking out that ADC pool. I was talking about it earlier. Normally, when Raheen carries, he goes on the Varus. When he falls back into that high assist, I'm going to be the support marksman. He goes back to the Ashe. So now he is going to have to be the big carry on this one. No skills, just straight up auto, right-clicking, bring it to the map. He's going to have to deal with Ziggs, as you were talking about earlier. And this is something I was getting excited for. I've been waiting for the Bard to be locked in. I was expecting it in the last series that we saw, but yeah, here we go. Bard locked in for Rhino.
So, in amateur at least, this is used to counteract Ziggs compositions, mostly off the back of the fact that when you have pushing bot lane and you have such control of map most of the time, and you get Rift Herald and you try to convert, what's one of the best ways to prevent a Rift Herald from actually working? What's one of the ways to help control the map? What's one of the best ways to kind of have impact across everywhere? What are your best roaming supports? Bard does all these things and more. It was Don Ray on TSM AM that were able to actually accomplish this first. He's already a player. It made sense. We saw this pop up in a couple of places, but it still feels like the covers have been on it and it hasn't been unveiled. Maybe this is the unveiling ZOOS Gaming. They get the dark tech of the Bard to help prevent the tower taking capabilities of the Ziggs, especially when it moves out of the laning phase, trying to force into a Rift Herald lane. That gets denied by a Bard ultimate. Immediately, one of the most powerful portions of this champion is removed from the map.
And I mean, it's Bard, though, and it's Rhino, and it's a pick that he pulls out from time to time. It's something this is Rhino's pocket pick for the Pocket Rhino when it comes to the amateur scene. As we head towards the second phase of the draft, taking away Nautilus, Jace, Urigot, Orianna, all off the Rift this time. Gonna lock in for ZOOS Gaming in the mid lane. Tuesday, we'll be playing Azir.
Will, taking that Azir into Ryze matchup once again. Nothing shocking about that. He did it in the previous game. This would be a foot to the gas pedal. I was hoping that the Pyke would come out. You talk about champions with impact across the map. You talk about champions that can challenge a Bard's presence across the map. Pyke is definitely one of them. Rakan is another one. It's a bit more team-oriented than a Pyke. Pyke is a bit kind of volatile in the way that it can play out, because if you shut it down early, it starts to really kind of fall to pieces. Rakan is a bit better, just like the consistent team fighting that you'd be accustomed to, especially with a Ziggs, you're going to be shoving in more often than not. Not much pressure is going to be there for the Ziggs. He stands so far back. Rakan's going to be able to match a lot of the roaming that Bard's going to be able to do as well.
Yeah, and then finally rounding it off, FlyQuest Academy going to lock in the Camille over towards that top side. So you're going to have that side lane threat, very volatile pick in the top side, but the response is the Poppy.
Instant
Poppy lock.
It was instant. They saw the Camille hover. and then there was 1 second off the timer, and then Poppy was locked in.
They knew it was coming up.
They knew it was coming up because it's a blind pick.
knew.
Like, you have to think that that's coming through. So Alorum, he loves these tanky champions. He loves things that are going to be really great in a mid-fight. He likes things that can impact in skirmishes early. And it's a direct counter to the Camille. This is perhaps one of the most direct counters that exist inside of the game. Press your W, she can't eat you. And all of a sudden, your life is ruined as Camille. So that means that Alorum just gets a ton of presence in the top matchup. You get to follow also alongside the likes of the Xin Zhao into a fight. You have ways in with like portals and such. Not to mention the hammer, the ultimate, knocking members out of the fight, especially if you knock out like Rise or something that's going to be really pivotal, or one of the frontliners away from everybody. Rakan, if he's ulting, there's a number of ways that fights can be very, very influenced by the likes of this Poppy Hammer. It's not something we see super often, but clearly, again, this is an Alorum champion for sure. Absolutely.
Hey, man, there's a reason why ZOOS Gaming are the amateur darlings of our scene, and this is exactly why we keep getting a lot of these spicy picks coming out as of lately. Well, ready for more. Poppy in the top lane and Bard on support.
Welcome to Summoner's
This is a game where I am expecting to see a lot of Rhino and a lot of Alorum
Oh, yeah.
in places that they're not supposed to be. Be it the enemy jungle, be it mid lane, be it wherever it is that they end up. I expect a ton of interaction from ZOOS Gaming here just to try to put pressure on as much as possible. Now, FlyQuest, again, I thought that their game plan coming in by banning double champions against Raheen was going to be to play the bot side, but it seems like they're just going to use Dreams instead. They kind of like, they get rid of Raheen's comfort. They say, all right, you're on Zig's duty, and they're like, we're going to take Dreams to the other side of the map. We're going to do things elsewhere to cover for everything else. And hopefully that's going to work out for the side of FlyQuest because they're attempting to use that extra map pressure from their con to deny some of what happened with ZOOS, where Griffin and Alorum were able to convert a fair amount of the early play into their favor.
So I wanted to look up the stats real quick. The last time Bard was played by Pocket Rhino, it was his last game against GGA. Did pull it out in that series, and has pulled it out even during the UGP against TSM. So Pocket Rhino, Pocket Bard.
I can appreciate that he also took it against TSM just because, again, it was the amateur team of TSM that were like some of the first to really incorporate this tech into what it is that they were able to do. I'm excited very much across the board to see what it is that FlyQuest changed in terms of their pathing. I like that being a bit more aggressive, because last game with the Trundle, you can do a lot of work early. What he was able to find wasn't that impactful to begin, and then kind of got into a farming competition a little bit more. Ended up losing that against Diego pretty massively, and so now NXI on the Lee Sin, hopefully he's going to have a bit more of an impact, especially in some of these river skirmishes, as long as he got the support. Again, Poppy should have more than enough to compete against the Camille. You still have Tuesday, who's on the likes of the Azir, which should be able to control the Rise pretty decently out of the mid lane, and so NXI going to have to pick his battles pretty decently, especially against the likes of Zhao.
Ooh. Lots of autos coming in. Alorum will take a lot of punishment before he's able to get to that break point where he can just hard counter the hook shot. Talking about the bottom, though, one of the things I do love about Bard is the creativity. I could just imagine Kangas squealing now, because I know this is one of his favorite champions. But the creativity in routes that you can take with the Magical Journey, you can show up anywhere, anytime, and you're near global when you do have that temperature.
You are. Ooh.
But might not like this about the Bard. Getting caught out and dismantled. First blood will go over to Dreams. Now Raheen forced to run away after watching his support fall.
Very tough situation to bind themselves in. Johnson at the level 2, I think, had the W, which is what displaced in the first place, and then Rhino just wasn't ready with the flash, was already too low to be able to really get away from the likes of Dreams, and so right there, it's just the damage that comes out from the combination of CC from Dreams W, and then also Johnson. I want to see if it was W from Johnson that actually prevented this. It was, yeah, level 2 W was enough for the displacement for Rhino to be in a tough place. At level 3, you can do some... there's some portal shenanigans you can do around your own walls, but on their side, it's really difficult to try to get out. You could try to go through that middle one there, but even that feels like Ziggs would still have the range to kind of aggress. So right there, just overstepping a bit from Rhino on that bottom side.
Unfortunate positioning, and now looking for the punish, able to get the snare.
Wow.
Out comes the Cosmic, on to Johnson. Johnson really gets punished there, but not able to find the kill. Can't get that revenge.
Tough. Really tough. The Severum is able to ramp the attack speed enough to actually do quite a bit. Aura just bullying Philip once again.
Wait, this completely flopped in HP all of a sudden.
I don't know what happened because immediately, like Alorum had taken such bad health, or it didn't take bad health, was just getting aggressed on by Philip at that level 2 mark before the W comes out, and all of a sudden he is just at full health with the corrupting potion stacks having been thrown together. Again, that bottom side really close to being converted, but not much damage on the likes of the Aphelios to begin this game, especially with the Vamp Scepter, so not able to convert that kill onto Johnson. Again, him being able to play so far back means that there's even less space to work with when it comes to trying to engage against him.
Yeah, unfortunate they couldn't get the kill down there. Gonna set up that win con for FlyQuest Academy to really focus on the bot lane and try and choke out Raheen and Rhino from having an impact on this map. It's a teleport coming out from Johnson, getting back into lane and continue pressing pressure.
They are. Nothing from the junglers yet. Haven't really seen too much from Griffin or from NXI. Both of them going for more clears. Both of them going for more of what have we sort of the standard type jungling that we're seeing with the farming patterns and things. I want to see where their interaction comes from first. I do note that Griffin is pathing towards topside to maybe convert on where this Poppy is going to be. This was the game plan previously when they had Alorum up against Philip. The Ornn versus the Aatrox matchup in the previous game worked out very well when they were able to convert that one. Maybe going to try it a second time to again break Alorum out of the laning phase very quickly, let him interact with the map the way that we know that he likes to do.
Now roaming out is going to be Rhino. Always watching for those roams. Collect those meeps. Go on a journey and be able to get more as Tuesday tries to find himself something. Not going to grab it onto Triple, who will be able to flash away from the Emperor's Divide. You can see Griffin right there waiting in the wings.
Ready to
fast enough to flash away and stay alive.
Ready to capitalize as soon as that comes through. As soon as you watch an Azir throw a soldier down and then like EQ into it, you know you're probably not in a great place, especially if you don't have vision on their jungler. And so right there, not willing to give that one over. Griffin kind of just dips into the mid lane for a second. Also reverses pathing because he was spotted out in that mid lane and going to find NXI. Rhino's faster. Raheen's also going to be here. Can they take this fight?
Ooh, who's being found now is going to be the question. NXI is the one going for the engage. Over the wall goes Rhino, gets himself to safety.
That's real bad.
Trying to find more onto Raheen, who's underneath the tower. Getting in the autos, though, will find the kill onto Dream. It's going to be a 1-for-1 in the bot lane.
Really, really impressive. The use of the Dusk Wave right there on the Q on the Gravitum. It was enough to supply like that Gravitum ball onto 3 different members, which prevented them from getting anywhere, especially Dreams, who ended up getting traded. So the 1-for-1 goes over to Raheen. Quick thinking on that Aphelios to be able to prevent that one from being even more disastrous by not getting a trade kill in that process.
Yeah, Rhino staying alive in that as well. Now showing up towards the bot lane, and you also have Griffin down there, so a lot of eyes being placed down there. Gotta put your eyes over towards the top side, though, as Philip forced to use the ultimatum.
Ooh.
Now showing up is going to be Triple. As the ultimate charged up. Not going to find the landing, though. Steadfast presence just to get the extra move speed and get away from Triple.
Able to walk out just in trade for the ultimate. Philip was in a pretty tough position. Able to get bailed out by Triple right here. Does give over Dragon immediately to the likes of ZOOS as they're able to make that response. This is what I was talking about as well. Watch this right here. 3 members, all of them with that gravity or with that Gravitum. The Binding Eclipse keeps Triple within range just to make sure that he's going to get stuck underneath this tower. They do trade the plate, but again, at least Raheen doesn't go down without at least trading one back. So you can you kind of hang your hat on that if you're Raheen.
So 7 minutes, 40 seconds, we get our first Drake. ZOOS will grab the Mountain Drake. But overall, a pretty even game in the grand scheme of things. Gold lead on relative even. FlyQuest going to need something more, as this is match point in favor of ZOOS.
Yeah, I would say the team fight isn't as mean from the side of ZOOS. They've got great damage dealers with the Aphelios and the Azir here to be able to work with to try to convert that later game, but they don't have that Ornn for the additional scaling, nor do they have that like kind of Ornn ultimate button, which is just the ultimate go button for like a very long range engage. So I will say that as well about the side of ZOOS, which is that their composition I don't think team fights as perfectly as what you saw in the previous game, which opens up a bit more. Now, in fairness, Camille is going to side lane a bit more. Triple's still going to side lane a little bit. It's not exactly a perfect team fighting composition from FlyQuest either. So, like, when it comes to that, we'll pay a lot more attention to what they're doing at the time. But it's not like there's one team with a very clear composition that's just going to monstrously beat the other in terms of the pure, like, team fight versus team fight. The way we've been seeing most of the day, even to our previous series.
And now looking to contest Rift Herald is going to be ZOOS as they chase out NXI. NXI forced to back off. Rhino's there alone with the Herald. Does have the magical journey to get him to safety. will be able to scoot on out, and a little bit of a dance. I'm gonna have the Baron dance instead, have a Herald shuffle. We'll chase away, and no one grabbing Herald this time.
I don't want to call it a Herald shuffle because we already have like a
Herald
Shriva
hoedown.
Shuffle. There we go. That's the word. That's what I
There
like
we
to
go.
hear. Yeah, see, that's the creativity we hire you for, Mr. Eric.
Not bad, Rebel Fox. I got it. No hoedowns to be had yet. Scuttle Crab's taken, and you can still see ZOOS are putting their eyes towards that direction as Griffin is hovering around the mid lane, but so is NXI, and that is so frustrating to deal with if you're Philip.
That is. And this wave is difficult to like, now problematic because Philip is going to, like, have this wave crash in. Alorum's able to step into River so much faster than his counterpart, and that's what's buying them space here for this Rift Herald on the top side. Notice also that Raheen was kind of driven away from the bottom side of the map where, like, he's not going to be able to accomplish too much into the likes of the combination of Ziggs, who can put pressure on from so far away, and Rakan, who can make that dive happen even without the level 6. It's possible to convert on that. So that's why Raheen staying out of vision, staying behind the tower as much as possible. Now that his support's coming back, can step back up. Lost a couple of plates there, or I think one additional, and then half of the extra one, as they're going to try to convert even more of it with NXI to the bottom.
Waiting for the magical journey to come out of Rhino. Rhino is now ticking down. It looks like it was on cooldown, so he will fall to NXI. Very simple kill picked up there, reading the support, returning the lane.
Triple also gets into the bottom lane with that ultimate, and that's going to set up Johnson to be able to take the first tower of the game. Even though Rift Herald just went over, FlyQuest make a very quick shift to make sure that they can support Johnson's attack on this bottom tower. Since Raheen is on this Aphelios, they have Rhino roaming about as much as possible. Frees up so much space for Johnson to just kind of eviscerate this tower, melt it as much as he can, just so that he can end up getting even more gold, start deploying the Ziggs into other lanes. Tuesday, happy he was able to get that plate and able to shift out, even if it was just a little bit of damage starting on the rise.
Look a little fancy there, but will get the plate, has a good amount of gold to work with. Ultimately collecting... Actually, did he get the plate at the end? No, he didn't.
Oh,
now
did he
he's trying to
not?
grab it. He's
Okay.
walking up to it without a
be,
wave
like-
just to smack it.
It had to be like fractions or like single health points on that tower that we're not able to capitalize on.
Ooh, ultimatum comes out, but shooed away by the ultimate. Alorum will keep his life.
Able to kick him out. It is a lot better of an early game from FlyQuest because right now they weren't able to capitalize on top lane at any point so far. Mid lane's going about evenly. You do still have the CS advantage for Griffin, who hasn't been able to find the same kind of like very early aggression. Viego had a lot more impact in the earlier game of the previous one, and because of that, again, ZOOS is currently sitting themselves at about a 2,000 gold deficit underneath their opponents in FlyQuest, who also, they pulled first tower of the game. Now Ziggs is able to deploy in mid lane. It's a lot harder for them to try to deal with some of this that's coming on. In their team fight, again, still not that perfect 5-on-5 we saw with like the Ornn and the setup of that in the previous game. So ZOOS, I want to see where their point of attack is going to start here, because Griffin and Alorum are both extremely good in some of these fights that come about. They're both very good champions for putting people, especially in river fights and things like that. Now trying to force this Rift Herald while mid lane, they're shoving out Raheen as much as they can. NXI's behind him!
Ooh, NXI will get the kick, but not the Sonic Wave. It buys a lot of time. Not going to be enough for ZOOS to be able to capitalize on anything, though, as a double kill is picked up by Johnson.
Yes, it is. 2 kills in the mid lane here. You do have a Zero around as well. They were trying to punish in the jungle right there. This is the second charge for this Rift Herald as well. Will they dive? Philip just trying to bring him down. He doesn't have the ultimate quite yet, but into the wall.
They're going right after Philip, but not enough damage to be able to take him down, so slammed against the wall, not going to happen.
And now the mid lane play is just like the trade was top lane tower and a charge into top lane inner tower. Both of those in exchange for a couple of plates on the mid lane here for Johnson, as well as the 2 kills onto Raheen and Rhino, who have been kind of a little bit bullied inside of this game. Rhino's been caught out a couple of times on his roams and elsewhere, and Raheen is just he's under the influence against the likes of the Ziggs, who's just putting damage into him time and time again. Right there, even popping the ultimate NXI behind him to kick him over top of the wall. It is obscene the amount of pressure they're trying to put in. This was the early game plan that they wanted on the side of FlyQuest when they banned out the Varus and the Ashe in first rotation, making sure that comfort wasn't going to be there.
No comfort for Raheen as they keep punishing him. Every time he's left by himself, you can see FlyQuest making a play onto him. Rhino only showing up at the last half of it. They are quick to their plays, and they're making sure that Rhino cannot be a factor in saving him, whether it be with the Tempered Fate or a well-timed Cosmic Binding. Now ZOOS will be able to grab the second Drake of the game.
They will. Thankfully, able to grab 2 dragons. That's kind of the one thing that we've been able to accomplish as ZOOS in the early game. They don't have the same kind of early advantages they did in the previous, but they do have the 2 dragons, and they've got this jungle advantage, which continues to climb. NXI has found a couple of plays here and there to be able to aggress in some of the early lanes, but it is Griffin who's sitting on what is currently a 24 CS lead, which is pretty good, something that is advantageous. The 2 kills kind of normalize that in terms of like what gold is held by the side of NXI, so it doesn't make that big of an impact, but Griffin's still staying relevant, at least by just keeping that farm up as much as possible. Hopefully he can convert it into some kind of aggression here soon enough. Him and Alorm, again, they're both very powerful with where they're at. This is a Sunder or Poppy, by the way, so that auto did quite a bit.
Vicious over there in the top lane. That Yordle really bringing the pain. Looking over at the bot lane, though, between Raheen and Johnson, it just shocks me at how much of a lead Johnson was able to acquire. I mean, you normally expect it with the Ziggs and the pressure they're going to apply, grabbing those early plates and just being the demolition crew over in the bot lane. But, man, already an item up, working on a second item. Johnson hasn't completed first.
He has not. And again, putting pressure onto this bottom lane is a strategy that's worked against ZOOS in the past as well, so it's not shocking to see that FlyQuest adapted to this very quickly, wanting to make sure that their bot lane was going to have all of this power to work with. I thought maybe with Ziggs, their real intention was going to be Rakan making a bunch of impact, but it really has just been a lot of bot side focus saying, okay, if nothing else happens across the map, if we mitigate all pressure elsewhere, that means that Johnson is basically free to just bring down towers as much as he wants, and it has worked out exactly in that fashion for him. So this Ziggs is very accelerated in terms of this game. The 2 dragons eventually would lead to a soul here for the side of ZOOS, as well as it's going to cause more time for Helios to maybe scale up and maybe look for team fighting at that point. But by that time, Johnson's already going to be excruciatingly strong. What is happening with the Warm? Just bullying out for this tower, man. What?
Philip's having a bad day. Having a very bad day against ZOOS top laner. Sonic Wave's going to land. Magical Journey, creative route on the Magical Journey to get him safety, but now Griffin is going to have to face off with FlyQuest Academy. Able to flash away is going to be Rhino. Just barely gets out from the Sonic Wave, but here comes backup in the form of Tuesday 2 down for FlyQuest as ZOOS start marching in the mid lane.
First strike here on the map for the side of ZOOS. They find their first bit of aggression that ends up sticking, and it's off the back of Rome's collapse from Alorm. After taking that top tower, he's first move, and Tuesday gets here faster than what Triple is able to. Also, big props to Rhino. That Q stalled out NXI and Dreams from punishing him. Like you said, creative path with that E being able to come through. And this Griffin, again, very powerful. That ultimate stalls a bunch of the damage. The kick from NXI does not hit Raheen, and this stalls enough time to make sure their side laners are going to arrive in time. And at this point, FlyQuest just knows that they're done. They get the kill onto NXI and the shutdown onto Johnson with this good shift that comes in from the Azir. This is the aggression that I've been waiting for. And with 2 dragons in their pocket, being able to neutralize the gold lead, to basically set it to even at this point, if they can continue that trek, this is going to be a very good path for ZOOS to continue in this game.
And a great burst of gold going over to ZOOS that's been well needed. Tuesday able to grab one of those Immortal Shield Bow, now completed for Raheen. A mythic he desperately needed in this matchup going against the poke that you have of Johnson. So lots of life in ZOOS as we start getting towards the 17-minute mark.
Absolutely. We're also in a place, once again, where, the pure engage from the side of FlyQuest now comes from Dreams. He gets blown up very quickly, and especially with Poppy, you throw up W, Dreams is denied the ability to press W to get into a fight. Same with Philip, who tries to E and then ultimate to get in somewhere. Poppy denies it with W. Same with NXI. If he tries to get in and tries to, flash kick somebody or ward hop kick somebody, gets denied that access as well. So Alorm staying around the rest of the team, being able to make sure that they cannot capitalize on this mobility to kind of find an engagement, it keeps them at bay. And it means that, this Azir who's got good range, this Aphelios who's got good range, and even Rhino being able to set up an ultimate for the remainder of the fight is going to be a lot easier. So as fast as they can get Alorm to try to get out of this laning phase. Wow, he just stopped that.
So much taken care of. There's the ultimate. This was supposed to be a tower dive. They're resetting for it. As Alorm tries to clear out the minion wave, he's going to be able to get it. Alorm's backing off. He's buying so much time, and FlyQuest are wasting so much time. As ZOOS Gaming set up towards the mid lane, put down Shally, and take down the mid lane tower.
Able to snag that one away. At least Johnson's able to deny that, because if it would have got a second charge, would have been prompting. Bottom lane, I don't think Tuesday's going to be able to snag that tower at least before the dragon is going to come up. As it's a 4-man commitment to topside to shut out Alorum. And yes, he's a Poppy, but this is also a damaged Poppy. This shouldn't require that many members. But they're going to trade now mid tower or top tower. They have the 1 kill in their back pocket. And this third Drake here for the side of Zeus. Their win condition on the table. Ocean Soul is something that they can use in this game to kind of bridge whatever gap of advantage that FlyQuest has at any given point, especially with a Ziggs trying to poke you down. That extra bit of sustain is going to make a world of difference here for the Zeus composition, who also now can kind of dictate if FlyQuest want to take the 5-on-5, they want to say, all right, we'll fight you right now. Zeus has been comfortable with it before. Maybe they'll feel powerful enough to be able to take that in the next few minutes.
I mean, and that's the alien nature, I guess, against going a pick you haven't seen in this long. Alorum blocked 2 mobility abilities there in both the safeguard and the hook shot. He bought so much time being able to pop the ultimate and get 2 members of FlyQuest the hell out of that fight. And with that, ZOOS utilized the tempo bot from that beautifully. They grabbed the Drake. They now have pressure on the map. They now have a chance, a win condition, to be able to come back into this.
I also find it interesting, at least to think about this for just 1 second, as long as we don't have action across the map. Because like Alorum could have stud under his own tower, right? And maybe that would have dissuaded the play. But that would have caused FlyQuest to then return to the bottom side of the map where the play was occurring for Zeus and maybe try to contest for mid lane. Maybe he ran out like that as a way of being like, oh, the play's still live, guys, come on, chase me. I don't know if that's the case. I would love to know whether that would have been the call, but again, this is all X's and O's that come out later. Notice Tuesday is able to help out Rhino. Very nice path right there with the E to be able to get out of that situation as there's nothing to convert on.
Well, he did get almost the full wave doing that, so I mean, making the best of a bad situation, right? Comes out the better for it as FlyQuest Academy now have control over this river. Baron is up at the moment. You have 3 minutes before that next dragon spawns. ZOOS are not going to really push this right here. Johnson has been such a threat. 2-1-3 has 2 items completed and a lot of farm to his name as he takes down another tower.
Yeah, that ultimate right there was just to shove them off a little bit further. Griffin tanks it and drops to half health. They have support from a couple of different areas, and that just frees up Johnson to walk in and use that W on that mid tower just to push them back a bit further. As now the outer ring of towers has officially been brought down. Only the bottom tower still exists in terms of outer towers in general, as FlyQuest has that one to continue, and that's why you see Alorum is on this bottom side. He is the powerful 1v1er apparently inside of this game, the one they feel comfortable putting that pressure onto this bottom tower in general, hopefully able to convert that into that tower taking the bottom side, as the rest of the map is just absorbing waves as much as possible. They got to get some gold under Raheen. Hopefully he can kind of recover from this deficit that happened in the earlier stage, but Tuesday is feeling great right now. 225 farm, 2 items completed. The Azir right on track to be this kind of team fighting menace you'd expect.
Yeah, great scaling coming out of Tuesday so far, and he has his team to fall back on, and Alorum's been one of the biggest mid-game presences. We're going to hold a lot of control, a lot of attention that's become out of FlyQuest, allowing for Raheen to, even though he's not having the most spectacular play, he's getting a lot of farm. He's being able to get a little bit of time alone with towers every now and then. That being said, though, Johnson has punished him way more. Johnson has gotten way more gold, and still going to be a bit of a timer before Raheen can fully get online.
That's correct. Especially with the wit end dip here, there's not that crit, there's not that extra targeting that you would get from an Infinity Edge, a Runans. You don't have that extra kind of punch behind your big ultimates that would come about from something like the a lethality item, something that would go like a collector or something like that. Man, the fighting's starting to look rough for Alorum into Philip. That the lack of tankiness on Poppy has made it difficult to try to make that happen.
Wow.
Huh?
Slamming him against the wall. Good way to cancel out the hook shot there when you don't have the steadfast presence up, but that's still the flash being burnt. Alorum's no longer having the presence he had once before.
No, he's got 2 items completed, but there's no armor yet, and so especially with Philip being primarily auto attacker, and then also with that massive true damage second Q, it's a lot of easily accessible damage that Philip can throw in when he's not. I immediately
right under the tower by his lonesome. Tuesday's alive! He survives under the tower off a 3-man dive. Alorum shows up just to guarantee he has an escape route. Goodness gracious, I can't believe my eyes.
Absolutely no way did that just happen. Tuesday sneaks out of that top lane play. The last takes of damage just kind of shielded by that E and being able to get out after the ultimate gets thrown down. Lauren prevents them from teleporting any further or walking between those towers. And even better, you pay attention, this was the expenditure not of Tuesday's flash at all. It was the TP of Alorum, but also Johnson flash because they used that portal to try to get on top of the Ziggs, and he had to get out of dodge as fast as possible. So they end up burning that summoner spell in exchange for what happened on top side. That is a worthwhile trade for the side of ZOOS.
Oh, Alorum using the steadfast presence means you can't find the engage. ZOOS almost looking to find the engage on them as the cosmic binding goes out, able to get the double stun, triple, trying to find some haymakers to throw over onto Griffin, but Griffin will be okay. The bomb goes out, a good chunk of damage, about a third of the health of Tuesday. Now Alorum hides in the bush, puts on the steadfast presence, but there's no mobility going out, there's only damage. Triple gets the kill onto him. The magical journey trying to find another way out. What's going on here? Was that the Dragon's Reach that stopped him? Rahid went all over the place.
No, that was the Hextech ultimatum. Got locked him in right before he's able to get out on the E. And now this ultimate's also going to get them closer to the Baron. They're just going to try to convert this immediately. That was insane from Philip to be able to catch the ADC on the side of ZOOS. They still have the problem of the Azir, and I don't think they can just walk directly at Baron. So they're not going to do that. They baited it a little bit, and they actually get more.
Looking for more. Here comes the Emperor's Divide. It's going to buy a little bit of time as Griffin tries to play the defense. One down as Dreams falls. Triple flashes. Cannot find more. FlyQuest Academy, they try and put their hand in the cookie jar one more time, but they lose Dreams in the process.
I honestly think they should have just committed to the Baron and then turned off of Baron to try, because they knew the flash was down from the previous fight. You'll get a chance to see this. This is miserable because, again, this is Ziggs in exactly prime territory, being able to do pretty much anything he wants, and they eventually engage into Alorum, who's trying to find this solid flank angle from the top, but Tuesday and Raheen get pushed back so far, it prevents anything from happening. So now Triple J gets to walk up on that champion. Dreams gets to find something. Tuesday tries to cover, but as soon as Alorum goes down, this fight's over. Rhino's like, all right, let's portal out of here, guys. This is where you get to see Philip. Flash, ultimate, locks him in, pulls him back because he's not allowed to leave that zone, and that means Raheen goes down as well. This is the moment, again, where I think FlyQuest, they should honestly just, like, go to Baron immediately after Dragon, or even before the Dragon, they just immediately go. I think they understand that Tuesday is going to be able to put in a bunch of damage, and the jungler's still up, so it's a coin flip, potentially, and because of that, they go for this engagement. Doesn't work out, because another great wall from Tuesday prevents the full engage, and Dreams ends up falling and traded over to the Azir.
And he still gets the kill on the back of that. The awareness of Tuesday, absolutely immaculate right there. And now ZOOS Gaming are going after Baron. They're the ones starting it up. 1K remains. ZOOS just grabbed Baron in the face of FlyQuest, and now FlyQuest are looking for retaliation. Ultimatum gonna be used, and will find Griffin. Griffin trying to buy the time, but FlyQuest will be able to find the kill onto him. But still, ZOOS are the ones walking out with Baron.
What happened while we were in replay?
What?
Oh no, things went crazy there for a minute. You have to think like, okay, FlyQuest had just made that dragon play. Then they extended over to Baron by burning Triple's ultimate, and then they lost Dreams, so there's no warding pressure. Yeah, this is just a re-engagement. ZOOS just goes, okay, they have no information. We just have the Aphelios with green and white, perfect gun setup for this, and they've got the Azir, and then the Poppy ultimate stalls it even further. Oh my goodness. That's about as perfect a Baron setup as you could have ever asked for. What a play from ZOOS!
Brilliant play coming out of ZOOS. You got to love that. Just outsmarting with the 5-head onto FlyQuest. Now ZOOS, man, we might be seeing it happening right now. ZOOS are in position to try and fight their way back and make this a 2-0 against a top 4 Academy squad.
That they might. They get a bunch of gold back, so they have like 2,500, 3,000 gold deficit under FlyQuest, which is problematic, especially because Johnson's the one with most of the gold. Triple's another one, so both of their carries are really in great positions. They're going to come claw back a little bit because of the towers. Most importantly, though, remember, 3 dragons stacked.
Ooh, looking for Tuesday. He will get the flash on the Dragon's Rage. A great kick to come out of an NXI. Gotta go golden to try and buy some time, but the damage is there, and the shutdown goes over to NXI. That is the mid laner down. That is Breath for FlyQuest, but you gotta look at the mid lane because the Stranglehold is looking to grow a little bit tighter, going after the siege, but you got great defense coming out of Johnson on the Ziggs.
So, at this point, I honestly think they should have kept all 3 members top lane. They should have gone for the inhibitor. I'll explain that in a minute, because it seems like right now we're actually going to get an engagement here onto Philip potentially.
Go chain CC. Cosmic
Oh my
fighting.
God!
Oh my
You're not
god! You go nowhere today, Philip. Steadfast presence, cosmic binding, the kitchen sink thrown at it.
Really was. So, again, this whole play kind of is based off the fact that they're like, okay, if we get Tuesday, we can pull top tower relatively easily. This is kind of a setup because the cross side of the map is being pushed by multiple members. You're in 3 lanes right now, and FlyQuest is able to punish them with that Baron buff on the board because they want to get Tuesday. However, pushing mid and bot lane is the setup for Dragon. This is all that ZOOS would have ever wanted in 100 days, because now they have those lanes able to be pushed super far up for free, and they left residual vision that they can now play on for the 30 Dragon in 30 seconds. So it's like, if you're going to trade that, FlyQuest has got to keep 3 topside, pull that inhibitor, and force those minions to have somebody kind of come back, at least keep a Lorem or Tuesday in the base before they can TP. But instead, they lose that inhibitor tower, but don't get the inhibitor, so there's no pressure that that wave is actually putting on the inhibitor or any of the base yet, and it allows ZOOS to come back out and get this Dragon, have perfect setup for the Dragon, or at least look for the fight here.
And this is going to be the moment of truth. The Dragon is spawning Griffin deep in the pit, looking to clear out that control ward. You might get funneled out a little bit, or might get pincered into the pit as it is going to be started off. You see Rhino waiting in the wings, looking to try and catch out Philip. Philip gets stunned up by the Cosmic Binding as the bombs keep getting thrown one after the other. Now they're going on to Griffin. Griffin's going to use the Cosmic card. He will be able to use it as a temper thing. Goes on the back, going for the Dragon. They're able to get it. ZOOS Gaming have Dragon Soul, but do they have the fight? They got to leave. They got to reach it. Raheen is getting damaged, but he will fall to Johnson. And now FlyQuest, they see the situation they're in. They head straight for the base of ZOOS Gaming.
Insane. Rhino's ultimate is what's able to set up that take of the Dragon, so now they've got their Ocean Soul. That's some of the scaling that they've been looking for. Somehow, Raheen lives on the opposite side of the fight, and he's able to take things on his own to get 1 kill. 3 members live from the side of ZOOS. I don't think it's enough to prevent them from being able to take this inhibitor, but at least they live to fight another day. I think they're trying to TP this wave on the top side to pull that one as well, and that's going to be the case. Only 3 members went. They're not going to take that fight, though. They're comfortable with this. They're okay with where they're at right now for the side of ZOOS, given what they have. And now Johnson's in some trouble.
Johnson's all by himself, but Johnson doesn't give a goddamn! He takes down the jungler, and he's gonna take down Rhino as well. Throwing the Qs, it's gonna miss. Triple's gonna show up and over the wall. He will steal it away. Now teleport's coming through. It's a double TP. Tuesday is fed to the wolves as Johnson blows his way the hell on out of there. And Triple to finish off the kill. Alorum caught out by the hook shot. Make it rain. Pain from Johnson is able to grab another one. And now 4 members down from ZOOS. It was so close. It was almost a comeback. But ZOOS, they have faltered at the 11th hour as they're being pushed into their base and getting destroyed.
Raheen is the only one left. He has to clutch this on his own. Rhino's going to be up. Griffin's going to be up in a second, too. Maybe they can make one last defense, but they threw so hard. Can they stop them before they take the Nexus? No!
The last shot looking to come in. Griffin will take down one, but Raheen has long been sent to the grave. Now, FlyQuest, they have the retaliation. In game number 2, they're gonna make this a series.
This was playable after the Dragon take. If you keep your inhibitors, like, your inhibitors are fine going down, you can recover from that, right? Because you can come back out and you can try to stall things with Bard. Ultimate Bard Portal will get you to Baron faster. You can do that. That extension, trying to punish Johnson, that they committed 4 members to eventually, or 3 members, I think 4 members eventually after all things said and done, and they all went down one by one by one. That's the throw of the game. That call, difficult to make. I understand the longing of want to bring that Ziggs down because of how frustrating it was all game, but I think, honestly, if they had just, pulled back on the reins for 1 second, they could have kept this one in their favor. They could have maybe turned this game completely around, and ZOOS might have been actually continuing to play and potentially looked for, like, a Baron play fight eventually. Instead, I mean, the comeback, FlyQuest, they end up taking this one.
I mean, yesterday was nothing but swift 2-0s. How poetic that today would be nothing but slobber knockers going straight to game number 3. Holy moly. You got to respect Johnson. You got to respect the damage a late game Ziggs can put out. I've seen King do some of the most disgusting stuff with the Ziggs before, where he's able to get an auto and just throw the ultimate and assassinate the enemy ADC. Ziggs in the late game does scale, and he does become a threat if that poke starts landing.
It's now a threat that also comes up in the drafting phase. You do get side selection here from the side of ZOOS if they want to try to prevent that one from coming through, but man, it is... FlyQuest have a new threat with John Sun in the bottom lane. He was filthy that game the entirety of that time. And the worst part about this, the entire time that we're thinking about how this game was going, we were in like theory of like, okay, are they going to be able to like operate off this? And ZOOS was like operating off of borrowed time for like 15 minutes straight, and it caught up to them because of a bad call. But like, even if that hadn't come through, even if they had lost 2 inhibitors and kept all 5 members, there was still no guarantee. They were still down a fair amount of gold and weren't necessarily still going to come back even with Ocean Soul. So like, that was a rough game. I got to give props to FlyQuest for being able to turn around that game number 1, which was so clean for ZOOS, taking away a bunch of the pressure. Coming into game 3, I don't know how it is that we pulled 6 games after yesterday's very quick 4, but I'm all about it, man. We're here for that. We're here for these very elongated 3 best-of-3s.
And so am I, Rebel. We are here for it. We're going to throw it over to short break. When we return, we'll be ready for that game number 3. FlyQuest Academy versus ZOOS Gaming. You are not going to want to miss it. Be sure to stay tuned.